The only thank you that God will need from you is when you live according to what He expects from you. I don't know whether that is what you heard.
Exactly, yes.
And now you can see that illustration show that there is no how you can get to even say that thank you if you do not have a God that will instruct you on what to do.
When we discover things as men, we get so carried away and we think that it was our discovery that made that thing to be. What we forget is that thing was already there. We are just fortunate to stumble on it.
If you are in the presence of God, you know that God knows everything. You are there to listen. So what is that thing you have to say to Him if you want to exchange word? You say He's talking.
When God is among us, it is not the time to bring out drums. It would have called for bringing out drums, but that is not what God requires of us.
Yeah.
Because of the problem-based situation.
The downfall of a man will be great because the Spirit will take you high. So that when you are about to fall, your fall will be good. That is what people get when they do all those things.
To have that guide, to have that proper information, proper knowledge of the will and workings of the things of God, God needs to be available to show you, to tell you, and direct your affairs in order for you to end up on a path that leads to Him.
Good morning, everyone. Wherever you are watching this program from, this is a New Direction podcast. As we say in this program is about life. It's about God. It's about the new life humanity as a whole need to live right now. If you watch the way we have been living and the problem we keep having in the process of our living, it shows that something is not right. And that thing that is not right is the absence of God in our midst. So today, we are going to be bringing something very, very important to you. And that topic is how to stay safe while waiting for God. If you have been following this program, you will understand when we keep saying that the information that we send to you, there is nothing you can do with it out there. And each time we make that statement, what we say is that you cannot stay out there and apply that information that we give to you by your way, by your understanding, without finding out from us, what should I do? Because wherever the path of God is put out in the writing, the question is always asked, what should we do? Or what should I do? Because everything that has to do with God has to do with what humanity must do to get things right. So, and we can't get those things right if the person of the Spirit is not with us. So today, we are going to be discussing on that. But we are bringing you a voice note that you will listen to, as all of us will also join in listening to it. Remember, we have said and established in this program, based on the writing, that the Lord is that Spirit that generated humanity as a whole. So, wherever the Lord is ready to come down to help a people, He provides a vessel where He's going to dwell in. I believe that is the reason why we have men that we go to as men of God, because we all believe that those men have the presence that we do not have. That presence is that divine spirit that we hope for. So, and like we have said, that divine spirit in a person is the one that will guide all of us on how to get things right. So He said in Isaiah chapter 40, verse 31, that they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. How do you renew your strength? Your strength can only be renewed when you listen to the voice of God and do as He said. But since we cannot see God as we claim, we need to also understand that that spirit that we believe as God will come to be with us and bring that standard that we all desire for. So those that will join the discussion today are my brethren as usual. I have Brother Savior.
Good morning, everyone.
I have Brother David.
Good morning, everyone.
I have Brother Uche.
Good morning, all.
And I have Sister Yuti.
Good morning to you all.
My name is Brother Kufre. Well, like I said before, we have a voice note that we want everyone to listen to. We have a voice note. And that voice note, the way I feel that we should go with it so that our people can really understand what we are talking about, because when the voice note is speaking, for us, it's very clear for all of us.
Yes.
But for somebody out there, sometimes, we have ear, but we cannot hear, like he said. So, but I know that there are people out there who will understand everything that the voice note has put out. But like I said, it's not like all of us, because we listen to the voice note, we know how the voice note is, and we know where it's coming from. So I would like us to, when we are playing it, wherever you need a brief discussion, we bring in a brief discussion for our people to understand what this thing is really all about. Like we keep saying here, that God does not come into a world to save us. Remember, we've said that.
Yes.
God comes so that we might be saved.
Yes.
It means there is something we need to do to be saved.
Yes.
It's not, you cannot just sit down and assume that because God has come, so I will be saved. But the purpose of God, like we said, is for everyone to get saved. Yeah. So it means you are the one that will choose it. So that's why we have a choice. And that choice is when you wake up to where God is and listen to what he has to tell you, you need to get the life that is of his. But if you are out there and you also listen to the information that we are passing out, and you are asking, finding out, what should I do, even though that place is far from me to come right now? Because for me, there is no place that is far, but because of the activities of human, there are people that are out there that try to find out, what should I do right now, since I have not been there. You get? We try to also let those ones to understand how this thing works, what they must do, why they wait to see that present. And that voice note today bring a brief clarity from the things that we have been saying. That's why it's very important for all of us to listen to it. So I would like us to go and listen to the voice note. And if you have anything to say, we can be adding them there. So
every one of you out there listening to this moment of information needs to take it seriously in terms of what is about to be said. It may not contain references to the Bible by reason of reading through the Bible, but references will be made to the Bible because whatever is going to be said is said according to a divine program, because it is coming to us from the one that is above all, because he that is from above is above all. That's what's written in the Bible. And we have been told, if you are following up these episodes that we've been bringing out, we have been made to know that the Bible is one special book that is developed according to the inspiration that the Spirit that made humanity decided to raise certain humans, which of course is of no necessity to know who they are, but to understand that the provision for the Bible is made available in connection to the measures that have to do with human existence and the program that the Spirit that created humanity had in mind before he brought humanity into existence. So as it is time, it is the Bible that is unique to that program. Every other book that is written is only peculiar to human existence, as is also coming from inspiration. Every book a man writes, every activity humans carry out, they are a source of inspiration. But the Bible is a unique source of inspiration. The languages you speak, the technology you develop, the inventions you create, you make, the discoveries you make, all those things are a product of inspiration. Therefore, there's nothing that is out of the reach of the Spirit. There's nothing that is outside the connection of the Spirit that brought humanity into existence. Therefore, there is no gainsay, there is no point to think that when somebody says or relates everything to the Spirit, you have to actually see the person to be over-spiritualizing everything. There is nothing that is not spiritual. There is nothing. So there is no such thing as over-spiritualizing anything, because the human being, the human person, the humanity is a product of the spirit. Therefore, every invention they make is of that foundation. Even the things that you see and say they are physical, while there are some that you say are spiritual, the things you call physical are a product of the spiritual, who still gave you the terms physical to call them. So everything is a source of the spirit. There is no such thing that you can say is not from the spirit. So everything is spiritual. So there's no over spiritualizing and anything whatsoever. But here is what I wish to let you know. Every one of you out there, all over the world, it is not because of the interest of wanting to be heard all over the world. No, the necessity of why everyone should hear of it is why it should be all over the world. So it is very important that wherever you are and wherever you'll be listening to this information from, you know that it is vital to human existence. Humanity is a complex design. The nature of how humanity was designed to live is very complex. The existence of humanity in this world can be likened to a tourist who decides to visit a castle or a city, and then in that city it is complex for him to go around it because a city he has no idea about, he doesn't know it. Therefore, for him to have his way around the city and not miss his direction and not get lost in the midst of it is to get a tour guide that will carry him around, and he will always be returning as he goes and comes successfully without having to miss his way. Even so, this world is a complex castle whose owner brought humanity into it but didn't give them a guide first, but wants them to wangle their way around it and get lost. That's his purpose. They should get lost first, because it is in that being lost that when he comes to locate you and find you, that he will show you that he is supreme to you, and also let you see how that he did that on purpose for you to understand that there's nothing you would have done about it. So when you look at the way the world is turning right now, it's very, very clear that it is also just like one who toured into a city without knowing his way and attempting to go around the city all by himself without a guide. Now we are talking about the presence of our guide. The chosen one is God amongst us. So he's the one that will actually connect us. He's the one that will correct us. He's the one that would bring us back onto the path which we ought to all follow. So listen, the only reason why a person, a man, will become a casualty of a situation that he has read through, he has examined and seen that it's a situation that needs help, it's a situation that needs support, that needs assistance, that needs some remedy. And in his attempt to give remedy to that situation, in his attempt to try to solve that situation, he gets into trouble. He becomes a casualty. It becomes a huge amount of trouble on his head. You have experienced that. It's nothing strange that I'm saying. You decided to help somebody that you see that seemed to be in need of help. All of a sudden, you got into big trouble just for helping. I want to remind you, you are not God. That action means you are just making an attempt to make yourself look good so that you can be called a good man. But the spirit of creation have said, there is none good but one, and that is God. Even when God is not in your midst yet, that position, that entitlement is preserved for him. So even in his absence, trying to do what takes his place makes you a casualty. So don't be surprised when you get into trouble for trying to solve a problem, for trying to help somebody. It is because it is not your place. The spirit of creation is against you. It's not any, with that thing you call witch or wizard is actually the source of the spirit of creation. He is the one manipulating it. He has declared there is none good, but you are attempting to do what will make you look good. So you're calling that calamity upon yourself. Don't be surprised. Don't accuse anybody because you are the one that is bringing the problem upon yourself. Now, this peace, as is coming to you in this moment, is just meant to help you see where you can stay safe. The way, what you can do to stay safe for the time being while you are actually thinking of how to get to locate where this spot is that we are emphasizing to you that you have to go as an individual to find out. If you have a desire to have your household be saved, you have to go find the spot. So you come and tell each one how to go find the spot also. So it is vital to get information pieces that will form the basis of an informed decision for you. That's why moments like these are coming out for you. And it's not a moment that is giving you information that you will just know. You just know. Let me give you an instance. I saw a video on the internet of a young man trying to analyze a situation about how men are supposed to stay with God. And he gave a very beautiful illustration. He painted a very wonderful picture. He says when God wanted to create the fishes of the sea, he looked into the water, he spoke into the water, and fishes had to be living in the water. When he wanted to make plants, vegetation, trees, he spoke to the soil, which means the soil is where the trees will live. But when he wanted to make man, he said he looked into himself. Of course, that illustration is actually geared towards imagining that God is the one that made everybody. You know from what this medium, what that means, what God means. But let's use that. Let's be permitted to use that expression, God. So he said when God was about to create man, he looked into himself and said, let us make man in our own image. So God made man in his own image. Therefore, he is saying also, going back to how that context goes, he says, when you remove the fish out of the water, water will always be water. It will remain water without fish. But where you remove fish from water, there will be no fish. So the fish cannot survive without the water. Likewise, trees, plants can only survive when they are right on the earth, on the soil. So when you remove the plant out of the soil, separate the plant from the soil, the plant dies, but soil will be soil. Soil will remain soil. He says, likewise, when you remove man out of God, when God will be God, God cannot die, he will always be God, even without man. Without men, God will be God. So when you remove men from God, because men now ought to live only when they are connected with God. So that when you remove men from God, men will die and God will always still be God. So therefore, he is saying, by way of his understanding and advice, stay with God. Every man should stay with God, because if you disconnect from God, you will die. The question I'm asking is, that's a very beautiful piece of kind of imagination. But where do you find the God to be with? In the first place, you are dying. Even all of you that still claim to be associated, connected with God, you are dying now. Things are getting bad in your hands. That is to tell you, that is just some kind of information that you get, and it doesn't lead you anywhere. It just makes you feel like, oh, somebody has an advanced knowledge about something. That is not what this piece of information is. This moment is telling you, go to where God is. He is. God has to be with us. And when you want to connect to him, you go to where he is. He's not an abstract image. He's not an abstract personality. He is tangible. He is not invisible. He is only invincible. God is not invisible. God is visible, but he is invincible. The only way you will know that God cannot die is when he's a person like you and you can watch to see how long he lives amongst you and the kind of work he does in the midst of us. Therefore, we have an opportunity now to confirm that thing that we know about God that we have never seen before. So he is right in our midst. It is a thing of great joy, and that's why we wish we could all beat drums that we've never beaten the way we haven't beaten before, but he doesn't permit us to do that because he says that's not what God has come to achieve or demand from us. The joy, like he will always tell us, is that the appreciation of what God does for you is not in telling him thank you in words. It's in seeing you live according to the instruction and principles he has shown you, and you testifying to yourself that is working for you, and him seeing that truly your life is in order because he has given you, because of the instructions you have taken from him. He says that's all the thank you he takes from any man.
Okay. Pause it. Pause it. There's something that I've been hearing. And there's something I would like us to bring in now. From the last statement he just made, he talked about how to tell God thank you. Are you hearing that?
Yes.
What thank you.
What thanks that God expects from all of us.
Yes.
And if you listen to that, that is not the same thing that we have been doing.
Thanks.
When we want to tell God, our God, thank you.
Thanksgiving.
You understand? We have it as a service, a Thanksgiving service, where people bring things in the denomination and offer and give a testimony to say thank you for God. That is for God, for what you have done for us. Mm-hmm. You understand? But he said here that the only thank you that God would need from you,
from us,
from us, is when you live according to what he expects from you.
Yes.
I don't know whether that is what you heard.
Exactly, yes.
And now, you can see that illustration shows that there is no how you can get to even say that thank you if you do not have a God that will instruct you on what to do.
Yes.
I'm trying to bring this in because everything we have been discussing here point to that issue. Yes. This issue of how humanity can get God, how we can get God in our midst, how to have God with us, not a sky spirit. That's why I said I would like this part to come in. And when he was talking about God is, how did he put it? Is visible.
It's not invincible. Yes.
You remember that?
Yes.
I remember when Brother David was talking about, one of the men we talked about, he said it's not everybody that will get to see the God. When we keep talking about God, everyone needs to come to God. It's not everyone that will get to see him one-on-one. But everyone get to the standard that is set to be able to be saved.
Yes.
But the appearance of that God means there are some that will have in contact with him, because those are the ones that need to be prepared. And the last time when we talked about who a neighbor is, we tried to bring that issue of the priesthood, that the word priest is that personality of God.
Yes.
Why you have a Levite, which are those
the marked ones
who follow may be called the marked ones,
yes,
which must be prepared from that priest, that God himself.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
So it means those ones will have to see him one-on-one. Mm-hmm. So whatever information that you hear from the outside there, that may be the people that you hear the information from.
Yes.
Just like we have today when men keep saying we bring information from God. So for them, they are the only one who can see God from the dream, but we cannot see God. I mean the preachers.
Yes, we have to listen to them.
They say they meet Christ one-on-one, and when you talk about that, it's always in the dream. Mm-hmm. They never meet him physical. No. You understand? So it means there are those that will have in contact with that personality. So I'm trying to bring this because, when we keep talking about the Lord and God, the Lord and God, for us as a people, we do not have any idea about it, if not for the presence of this personality.
Yes.
Every time we talk about God, we just talk about the spirit that you cannot see. Mm-hmm. But we have come to understand that today now the Lord is that spirit.
Yes.
And to have the Lord functioning in a generation, there must be a God that He provides in the midst of a people.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
So it's very important for somebody to understand that. So that when we are talking about the God that you need to come to, the God that you need to come to is not an empty space spirit that you can't see.
Yes.
Do you understand?
Yes.
So somebody need to, I don't know whether you have anything to say on that, because it's very important for somebody to understand that. From everything that He has been putting out, that voice note has been putting out to us, to let us know, understand that the God that you need is not an empty
A space.
space spirit that you cannot see.
No, it's clear. It was a bit clear, especially the aspect where he tried to paint a picture of the journey of man, likening it to that of a tourist.
Yeah.
Is that picture is clear enough for everybody to see that or understand that you need guide, because if you need a guide in order to navigate your way through a strange country, a strange palace as he used, or a strange anything that you are not familiar with, a place you are not familiar with, you need a guide. And in our world, it's actually a job. There are those who are tourist guides. There are those who are navigators, just for the sole purpose of helping those who are not familiar with a place to find their way around.
Yeah.
So he's likening man and our appearance on this place to that.
Yes.
Because just as he has said, we as men, we just have the ability to discover things, and it makes us feel like we are the ones. I was having that conversation with Brother Camillus, and it was like, when we discover things as men, we get so carried away and we think that it was our discovery that made that thing to be. Mm-hmm. What we forget is that thing was already there. We are just fortunate to stumble on it. Mm-hmm. So that feeling of being super has made us forget that we are actually tourists in this world. Yeah. So we go about trying to figure out things for ourselves, do things the way we think it should be, forgetting that as we are tourists on this earth, we need someone to guide us through the workings of the earth. Yeah. Yes. And that person is God, which we have already said. Yeah. And it's clear enough, even in our systems, to know that we need a higher power to direct our affairs. That's why, irrespective of whatever religious sect you belong to, everybody is crying for God. Everybody is supposedly talking to God to get that direction on how to navigate his way or her way through the scruffle of life. Yeah. That's how we say it. So it's clear enough that God needs to be the guide. But unfortunately, we have assumed, just as you have said, that God is in the sky, and we can, in whatever quiet moments, talk to ourselves or talk to the sky, and we have him, come to us and direct us in our dreams, or whatever way we assume he does it.
And it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest limitations we have. That's why we are saying now, just as we have come to know and come to realize from the source that we say we are reaching out to the people from, that to have that guide, to have that proper information, proper knowledge of the will and workings of the things of God, God needs to be available to show you, to tell you, and direct your affairs in order for you to end up on a path that leads to him.
Like when we look at the world today, to connect to everything we are saying here, how we even try to strive with it in the world, you see that the reason why we have men that we call preachers, a man will just go to his business, also from morning to night, January to December, but at the end of the day, what we desire is that many of us that maybe want to drive in the path of that God, what we desire is that as we are on the road of finding survivor, there's also men who are on the road of bringing the path of the Spirit to light to them. So we have them as men of God. You understand? Pastors. So the reason why we go to them is because after our long day of struggle, we believe that they are the one that is focusing on the spiritual thing. So they should be able to have a guide, you understand, from that spirit to give us, so that even when we go back to our struggle, we will not stumble.
Yes.
But when you look at the way the situation is right now, you see that even the man who is standing on the pulpit as a guide also stumbled.
That's because he's involved in everything you yourself you are involved with.
You see? So it means that present, that is that spirit that can guide humanity, is not in them.
No.
You understand? Yes. And that is the reason why we have limitations. So that is why someone out there need to understand that when we keep saying that we are not here trying to advertise a man, we first start in talking about that, the presence of that spirit.
Yes.
You understand? Yes. Because when you have the presence of that spirit, then you will be able to have a proper guide.
Yes.
But unfortunately, the spirit cannot function without a vessel, without a body.
Yes.
And in this instance, the spirit cannot also function in a body that is not worthy for him to dwell in.
No.
Yes.
So he alone knows the body that he needs.
Yes.
Not we that.
We will build this house.
You understand? So that is why he said he's the one that will build that body.
Yes.
And give it that cleanliness that he needs to be able to dwell in. So that from that body, he can now guide humanity in the things that we ought to know and we ought to do. To also be able to keep ourselves clean for that vessel to, that spirit to come in. So that is how this thing connects. So when you listen to that, when we listen to this voice now, you can see that it's clear for me. That's why I said, because of the sake of the people out there. So it's very important, if we have anything, to point it out like this for somebody to understand. To know that what we desire, I will call it a desire. What we desire is that what we have come to see, the people out there should also be able to see it, so that we can all work together and achieve that life that we all wish for. Yes. You understand? So I would like you to...
Because when you sit before a man who is God, a man that is God, to now be beating drums the way we beat, shouting to him the way we shout, we would deafen him now. We would, what kind of, is disturbance in the first place? With God is silence. Silence, quiet. It's amazing to see how we can achieve quiet on our streets on the day of elections, just for elections. But God is here demanding quiet from us, and we can't give him that. That's a shame on us.
So, pause it. For me, there's something there that, there's a statement that he made there. And when you look at the way we go about in the things of God, what we call denomination today, what we take as church, you see that quietness is what God demands.
When you come into His presence.
But when you have to do with denomination, you can't achieve that.
No.
So how do we fulfill this? Because it is shown in the significance that we must keep silence in the presence of God.
Yes.
And when you understand the presence of God, as we call it in the church denomination today, because that's what we assume the presence of God to be.
Yes.
How do you achieve this if God cannot be a person in the midst of a people? I would like us to read something very briefly. That is Genesis 5, verse 1 and 2. Very important. Chapter 5, verse 1 and 2.
Ecclesiastes 5, verse 1 and 2. Are we there?
Yeah.
Yeah, go on.
Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verse 1 and 2. Keep thy foot when thou goest to the house of God, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools. For they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with thy mouth, and let not thy heart be hasty to utter anything before God. For God is in heaven, and thou upon earth. Therefore, let thy words be few.
Okay. Do you see that there's no how this thing can be fulfilled if the way of God is this denomination that we go to?
It's not possible.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Because he said that for God is in heaven. And we talked about that state of that personality.
Yes.
As the heavenly state. Why we, as a people, as man, have the earthly state.
Yes.
You understand? It means that that person that has been transformed to that image that we all desire for, his state, his consciousness is the consciousness of that heavenly product.
Yes.
Why we are earth. So he alone has the information that is coming from that source that can help humanity.
Yes.
So if you read from 1, you see that everything that he's talking about here, it shows that that personality is the one that will guide all of us.
Yes.
That's why I said, when you come into his presence, be ready to hear. You understand?
Yes.
Be ready to hear. It means he's the one that will talk to us
Yes, as a guide.
as a guide to show us what to do. But the beginning shows that you need to be silent.
He said, keep thy foot where thou goest, when thou goest to the house of God, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil.
You see?
I reread it because I wanted to say something. And when we talk about silence in the presence of God, we think it's like not talking. That's what we think. It's not talking. Because even now, when we are emphasizing on the silence that needs to be in the presence of God, it's still not about not talking. Because if you follow what has been written here and what we have come to know and understand from the source, is that your first duty is to listen to what God has to say to you,
Yes.
what he has to command of you. And
Do them.
your duty is to
Okay.
do it.
Yes.
So you now get to see where the silence in the presence of God is, or what the silence in the presence of God does, or what it is. It's actually doing the will of God. And in doing the will of God, you're not noisy. And when I'm saying you're not noisy, it's not about the talking or the activities you get involved with that creates noise. But the silence comes from his life. You live a life that transcends silence, because that's where God resides in. So the noise or the foolish or the sacrifice of the fool is in that his lifestyle that it's not in accordance with the principle of God and is scattered. So that makes the man himself noisy.
And
it
he also
doesn't matter
he also
how
begin in
quiet
talking.
or silent he is.
And if-
Just as we have said, okay, before you go on, like it's not what comes out, it's not what goes into a man that defiles him, but what comes out. So in as much as I'm trying to paint a picture that shows that silence is not necessarily not talking. Huh?
Yeah, be quiet.
Yeah, and the noise is not necessarily about talking. It can still be that as well, but it's coming from a lifestyle. There's a kind of talk coming from a man that doesn't have that nature of God in him, and what he says is noisy. And there's a person who is carrying that nature of God, and even when he talks, he's silent because he knows what to say, when to say it, and what not to say. So that's what makes him silent. That's why when he's in the presence of God, he knows not to talk, but to listen.
Which is also good, as where we are coming from as men. It's also good that we shouldn't even say anything. Even this aspect you are describing is after you have been able to keep quiet, not talking. Because if you are in the presence of God, you know that God knows everything. You are there to listen. So what is that thing you have to say to him if you want to exchange word? You say he's talking. So it's really to keep quiet. Be it a quietness in a state that you have or in the way you talk. Because you don't have anything to say to him. All you have is to listen to what he has to say to you. So it is good for us to be quiet. be it in talking or in doing. So that's what it is.
One of the mystery that is in this scripture is that first, God is appearing as human, as we are. Do you understand?
Yes.
But because we cannot see that personality, even though it's looking like us, has a different state completely from us.
Yes.
Do you understand? Yes. So when you are not looking from that side of the consciousness of that spirit, you are seeing a body like you. You see, when he's talking to you, you think, remember we talked about the last time, each time that you hear something that doesn't correspond to what you feel, you know already. He make you feel like what the person is saying is wrong.
Yes.
Remember, which is the reason why we now keep seeing what he's saying as the lie. Before the warning now comes in that God is not a man that he should lie.
You see why he said that what man knoweth are the things of man, and the things of God knoweth no man, save the Spirit of God. So when you are hearing things that comes from that personality in which you don't know that is God, and you are waiting for it to correspond in your spirit, with your spirit, but the spirit you have is a spirit of man. So it's better for you to keep your spirit aside if you know that that is God, because it cannot be corresponding with your spirit as a man. Yeah. But rather you confirm, you do things to confirm that thing for yourself. So you are not waiting. If you are waiting to be confirmed within your spirit in terms of let what he's saying be the way I want. Because if it is his will, just like we say, it cannot be yours. He's not going to do things that will suit you. So you rather give in your own. You understand?
Give away your own.
Give away your own in order to get his.
Okay. For this moment today is how to stay safe while waiting for God.
Yes.
And we have established the fact that from the voice note that God is a personality that is somewhere, or that also need to be seen and be heard from,
yes,
to be able to know what to do. But this moment is how to stay safe while waiting for that. I believe that the voice note have a lot to say at the beginning part, as the ending part of it, to let us know some certain things that we shouldn't be involved in. You understand? Yes. But the way the world is structured, like he said, is structured in a way that the Spirit set it to great confusion for all of us.
Yes.
That's why we need a guide. And in this guide, you can see, even in that John 16:13 that we keep bringing in, he showed that the Spirit will come to guide us. Yes. John 16:13. We keep using that the Spirit of truth will come to guide humanity. And that Spirit of truth cannot guide us from the sky. You need to be in somebody to do that guiding. So before you go into that, I said I would like us, because he has something that we need to hear before we conclude our discussion.
Okay.
After this thing. Okay. So let's continue the voice note, and we end up our discussion after the voice note.
Yeah. Hope that piece that that the illustration I gave supports something in the course of everything I'm explaining to you. How do you now connect to God where there is no God tangibly to connect to? So God was designed to be tangible. It is the Spirit that made all things that is not tangible, is not visible, but you can feel it. You can see the things he does. He brings us God. He brings humanity to existence. He brings creation to existence. He brings us God. And that is how we can now connect to God, because we can't connect to him. That's why in the midst of all the cry and the shouting that we call prayer to connect to him to help us, we are not seeing the results the way it ought to be. But when we now connect to the one he has provided and says with us here now, he is going to connect him with us. That is where our connection will be tangible, and we can see the mysteries by a hand the way we have never seen it before. So then, if you want to actually know, like I said, this piece of information is coming to help you, for you that is willing, but you just have to wait a bit to have your way through. As you hear this information, listen to the pieces that will help you begin to take certain steps where you are to stay safe while you are waiting to make your move. Because while you are planning to make a move, there is some element of situations that can just make you a casualty while you are still waiting. And that could possibly just be because you are still involved in the mess that is going on, which you're supposed to have just first removed your hands from. Now, the way you have to confirm to yourself, to convince yourself, listen, I'm not saying what you do will bring you solution. What you do cannot. It's what you do that brings the problem. The one that brings solution is the God that gives you instruction that you keep. That's where your solution begins. So when you hear information and you start taking measures by yourself from hearing the information, they just keep you safe while you wait to meet the one who is solution to establish the security you need, the provision you need, the kind of safety that you need. So how are you supposed to be sure in your conscience, to be assured within yourselves that you have started the journey of safety, being solution, getting solution? The journey to the solution begins with when you stop playing a role in the problem-based situation. The problems that you are facing today in the world, you are a part of it. You are a part of the activity you carry out. You are just a part of it. The only assurance you have to first stay safe is when you first of all stop being a part of the problem-based situation. Let me explain something to you. In Matthew 5:36, if you look at this world, the government of the entire world, just look at it. Look at it closely. Look at their courts, look at their schools, look at their everything they do. Everything. The government structure the activity of humanity. That's because government is spiritual. It is the power under which the spirit run humanity through activities. It's through government. He uses government. So because he set out the pace of confusion that he will come and correct himself, he got you involved. Now when the information comes that he that is supposed to correct is around by the spirit of he who initiated the confusion, what you're supposed to know is that his information makes you begin to know what to do while you wait to meet him. That's exactly why this peace is coming to you. So he's saying, the peace says, for you to know, for you to actually be sure you can be safe while you have not gone to see him, while you are waiting, the first thing to do is to get out of being a part of the problem in the first place. The activity that makes you a part of the problem in the first place. Once you can stop it, you have gained a safe stand while you are waiting to meet him, because when he instructs you, your solution begins. So, when you look at this word as the illustration I'm trying to give, from Matthew 5:34, that says, swear not at all. That is what he says. Oh, before you read through all the components of the swear not at all that now goes down to analyze, don't swear by this because you cannot do this. Don't swear by that because you don't have the capacity to do this. It's only God that swears by himself because he's the only one that can do everything. So he says, swear not at all. Now, you have gone to run elections and to vote somebody into power. Time after time, cycle after cycle. What do you do? All over the world, look at what happens. Every office a man gets into, he swears into it. And swearing becomes a ceremony they do. Why do you even do it as a ceremony? To show God, to show the spirit that made you that you can do this thing and he can't do anything about it. And I'm asking, really? Really? Humanity, he brought you. He brought you. Have you gone around the world to see what creation looks like? Have you gone around the world to see what creation looks like? Have you gone beyond the skies, beyond the atmosphere of the earth to see what creation looks like? To see that entity, to ask yourself, what is that kind of thing that made this kind of creation? How does it look like? How does that thing look like? All of you together are like a speck of dust in his eyes. So for him to have brought an instruction to you and you are going against it, celebrating, it beats my imagination There was a song I heard. There was a song I heard, lyrics of a song I heard. That song says, I can't remember who sang it. I think it's either Asuko or something, with one of the girls, the female musicians. The song says, hustle, my brother, hustle, my sister, hustle. It says, no be only you kill Jesus, we plenty for there. So hustle. Say beans no they cook forever. Your own beans go done. Can you imagine? You mean you know I pitied the situation. When I was listening to the lyrics, I pity humanity. Somebody is saying, no be only you kill Jesus. You can kill Jesus. We plenty will follow kill Jesus. It means you can kill Jesus and hustle and survive. What is that? Just don't do as if killing Jesus is a big thing. No be only you kill Jesus. We plenty for there. And most of us, we don't plenty follow kill Jesus. We they succeed. We they hustle, they succeed. Let me tell you, that is why what you call success, you have no idea what success is. You think success is how much money you make. He made all the resources and kept for you. You can do anything you want to do with it. But he says the downfall he plans will be great. Great is the fall thereof. So how is he going to achieve a great fall? Is when he takes you to great heights. So all those heights that you guys are achieving, he has come here to tell us. He's just playing pranks on us until he brings us where he wants to get us and then achieve what his purpose is. So, like a piece of advice to those of you from where I'm describing the fact that when you look at the ceremonies you carry out, from the government offices that you vote people into, in the name of leadership that you claim is God that is establishing for you, bringing men, can God establish an office that he puts you in and makes you to do what is against his principle? He says, swear not at all. Then you are going into an office you claim that he gave to you by doing exactly what contradicts the command he gives. What are you actually talking about? Will it work? Therefore, consider again, as you are hearing this voice, that thing you are doing, when you look at the foundation of that governance, it is coming from what you will question about whether God is involved. That's why the crises in the world are the way they are. And when you look at the foundation, connect it to everything that is going on. That is where the trade, they live on trade, when even you know that God does not actually approve of money as his path of men surviving. That's not the program of God. That is the program of the spirit of creation that he wants to correct by God. That is why the principles of God are different from the ones that the spirit gives, because the spirit gives principles that maintain a confusion that grants him the power, the upper hand, the supremacy to actually compel humanity to obey God when he comes. That's the strategy, because if he doesn't use that, you will be too big to accept that God is God to you. So he started it and established it. But right now you are being revealed to know what the foundation is about. Therefore, if you are funding that system, you are a part of the problem. If you are voting somebody into a system, you are part of the problem. If you are the schools you go to, remember, you don't need to. If knowledge is given to man by the spirit that brought humanity, why do you have to now go pay somebody for knowledge? The land you live on, is it you that created it, but you have monopolized it and you are charging others to pay you for it? How are you going to succeed? How are you going to call what you make out of it success? That is why this piece is coming to you to just show you the only way, remember, swear not at all extends to even the pastors you say, they tell you God called them. But the program of God says swear not at all. So when they organize marriages for you to go to the altar, to go and take your oath, is that a man who is actually functioning under the instruction of God who says swear not at all? But the activity that you see him engage in is showing you clearly that God is not involved. So the marriages you organize in the altar, what do you go there to do? Is that not swearing against the will of the God they say call them? Now, when they now ask you, have you now done traditional? Traditional, is it not that you paid money over a child that God made, the Spirit made, to somebody who claims that is his child? So it's buying and selling. So pastor, on traditional side, the traditional side is buying and selling, disobeying God. On the you say it's church blessing, is the church side, it is still disobeying the principle of swearing. So where is the balance? Where is it? Where is it? That is why in the traditions, he says you use your traditions to make the power of God, not of the Lord. The power of the Lord is making effect in you. That's what's causing the crisis. That's the power of the Lord. But the power of God is to redeem you. But it's not redeeming you because you have used your tradition to make it to be of non-effect. So now that is here, prove that you are willing to have redemption by getting out of it. Therefore, the piece is to advise you to say, the first indication that you are on a path towards solution is when you first, wherever you are, remove your engagement from being a part of funding a program that is out of God's foundation. Once you have the courage to do that, even your conscience, even the atmosphere around you will show that you are getting ready. You will stay safe until the day you are able to find the spot while you are waiting to find the spot. Because until you find a spot where he has to see you and give you instruction, you are still in danger. The only reason a man who gets up to go save a situation he sees necessary to render help to and become a casualty to it is because the spirit of creation is against you, because you are just getting up to take up a mantle that he didn't give to you. The one who created this world, when you look at the way this world is, you can't look at it and think that he does not have the capacity to take care of this enormous creation he made. It is just that the opportunity, the chance he gave you, you are trying to take the mantle upon yourself as if you are the one that will give solution to the problem he created. He didn't create problem for you to solve. He created problem to make you know and see that while he has given you chances and to show you that you can't solve it, he comes to solve it to show you that he is a higher power than any power that has ever existed. I hope this piece forms a basic component that talks to you personally. I also hope you had a good listening.
Wow.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Self-explanatory.
He said the only way to stay safe is when you remove your funding from the part that is against the part of God. That's what he said at the end part of it.
And
Yes.
that's what it is.
And the only assurance that you have is when you stop taking part in the problem-based situation.
Trying to remedy
And it struck me because when I look at the reason why he made a statement like, when God is among us, it is not the time to bring out drums. It would have called for bringing out drums, but that is not what God requires of us.
Yeah.
Because of the problem-based situation.
Yes.
He comes and meets us right in a wrong foundation. And this wrong foundation was not created by us. It was created by the Lord who brought us on purpose, according to the voice note.
Yeah.
So it is not a time to roll out drums, because that is what we have been doing as men, thinking we are worshiping God, rolling out, beating, making noise. And the thing now struck me because when I look at Matthew chapter 15, verses 7 and 8, it states, "Ye hypocrites, well did Isaiah prophesy of you, saying, These people draweth nigh unto me with their mouth, and honoreth me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. But in vain they do worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men.
Yeah.
So the men who profess to have come from God, this place is putting it out clear that as long as you are taking instruction from those men who profess to have come from God, that they are mere men. Those commandments are from men.
Yes.
Meaning that the commandment we ought to take should be from God,
Yes.
from God himself. So the worship you have been worshiping, which is noise making, is all in vain. Because when he looked at our worship, he sees that the foundation of the earth, they are all out of course. So for us now to stay in a safe place is for us to stop funding the problem-based situation.
Yes.
According to the voice note.
Yes.
So that our worship will stop being in vain. Because all our worship before now were all in vain. Because the people we take instructions from, commandments from, they are men.
Did they even give us commandment? They even tell us that Christ has come and died and done everything.
Yeah.
Do you understand? That I'm only saying it. I understand what you are saying, but if you watch the way we function in the world, we don't even know what we worship. Just like you said. You said they worship, they know not what. Are you following my point?
Yes.
That is why things are not working. How will you be doing this kind of service every day? Or you say you are doing to unknown God. You see, that is the problem. That is why today, since we are dwelling on how to stay safe, you see, there's a story in the Bible when Thomas was told that
Christ has
they
been
have seen
resurrected.
the master. They said, we have seen the master. He said, it can't be possible. Do you understand?
Yes.
And if you watch everything we have been doing in this program, that is what we are here for. To let everybody to understand that spirit that we all desire for, that will come to our rescue in this world, we call it God.
It's around.
But we do not know that spirit is not God. That spirit is called the Lord. And God is the one that the spirit will be inside. That's why the world needs to be with God before the beginning can begin.
Yes.
These are mysteries that we don't understand, but we have come to understand them that, all these things that are written need to be fulfilled practically in the generation of a people. So here, that is the whole summary of what this podcast is all about. That is why anybody out there need to understand how this thing apply. He was talked to. He said, no be so ibio. I don't believe it until I see his finger and trust in my
Finger.
how did he put it? I would like us to read that. John chapter 20. Let's read it from 24. From verse 24 to verse 31. That's where we close it.
John chapter 20.
I would like to add something to it, but
Okay.
you finish first.
Let me finish this. And
John chapter 20 from verse 24.
yeah.
Okay. And I read, but Thomas, one of the 12, called Didymus, was not with them when Jesus came.
Yeah.
The other disciples therefore said unto him, we have seen the Lord. But he said unto them, except I shall see in his hands the prints of the nails,
Yeah.
and put my finger into the prints of the nails, and thrust my hand into his side, I will not believe. And after 8 days again, his disciples were within, the Thomas with them. Then came Jesus, the doors being shut, and stood in the midst and said, peace be unto you. Then said he to Thomas, reach hither thy finger, and behold my hands, and reach hither thy hand, and thrust in into my side, and be not faithless, but believing. And Thomas answered and said unto him, my Lord and my God. Jesus said unto him, Thomas, because thou hast seen me, thou hast believed. Blessed are they that have not seen and yet have believed.
It's okay. Stop there. I don't know why you are following that illustration there.
Let me just say something. It makes that place is funny because it now looks like the disciples who believed was because they didn't see him. They saw him. That's why they could believe it was the master. That's just something that hit me. Because when it says, "Blessed are they that have not seen, yet they believed," it makes it look like he's talking to each and every one of us, because that's what we see when we read this. And we have said that whatever has been written here is not talking to man. I don't know. It's not talking to man, because the disciples who got to look like the steady ones were because they were there when he appeared the first time.
Yes.
So it makes it look like, yeah, they were the ones that were really believing in him. But if you read the story earlier, you could see their reaction when he came at first. So he's not talking to the people, but we are not going to go into that. I just wanted to
I've gotten the
to
point.
bring it up.
That's why what I brought it for is just a significance on how this thing applies. Because if you remember the last time we talked about most of these things, that you see that it was a young man came to him and he requested a kind of favor. After giving him the condition, the young man went away. Remember that thing? And I said that those things is because you can't see the fulfillment in the writing.
Yeah.
That's why you could see the young man went away. So here now we are talking about a disciple that we assume that there was one Jesus. There has never been a thing like that. That is why in the Bible you keep telling the disciple, you don't believe. Remember that?
Yes.
He keeps saying that to the disciple. He did not believe. Because they never believe. Because they have never been a disciple as a people. But these are significance of things that are supposed to be and how a man can be molded. That's how we can be molded. That is why these women are coming out today based on the audio that we have right now.
Yes.
The audio has shown us that there's something you can do out there to stay safe, not to have the solution. But how to be safe, how to stay safe means you can do something, and when you get to a point that you're supposed to have a problem, or there's supposed to come a problem, that spirit protect you because it's keeping you waiting for the appearance of God.
Yes.
That's what this moment is.
Yes.
So it's not that when problems supposed to come, but the spirit free you, it has given you a solution that is life. No, it hasn't. So it's to stay safe while waiting upon God. So God will come with the solution, and that solution is to bring his presence, the life, with you.
Yeah.
So right now, you are seeing a personality. It's a spirit in men. So they are hearing the information we are trying to pass out now. Somebody will say, how can you say this thing? How can you say this is possible? How can you say God is in the midst of a people? The God we know is always in the sky. You can just kneel down and pray to him. In short, all of us have been praying and it's working. That's how we assume God. Yeah. But we don't know that those things are not working anything. So you can see the significance here. The man wants to see the work of God, how things are performed, how God performs things before he can believe it.
Show me if you are God.
But
show
God
me.
doesn't do like that. That is why we keep saying here that you cannot even see him on the road and know him. So the information that we try to pass out, as this voice note has led us to it, is to let somebody to understand that there is what to do to be able to stay out of the reach of a problem first until you meet God for final solution. Because right now, what can you do? You will do something according to the design of what is going on right now. So when we say there's something you can do, it's not that you can stay there and do that thing, but you need to find out. Because right now he has talked about the government's situation. They swear not at all. You cannot just sit down there and stop buying and selling and survive without finding out from these people, where is this personality and what is going on? And this thing, buying and selling, if we stop it, how do we do? Or how do we do to stop it? All those things is an inquiry. That is why we have our email addresses on the screen that we put out to people, for people to have their inquiry to make. If they want to ask any question, they'll ask us.
What I wanted to say earlier was this, that after listening to the voice note, something was established that are living as man is outside of God.
Yeah.
Yes.
Even the earlier illustration, the earlier picture he painted when he was making reference to a video he came across about how the fish is dependent on water to have life, and the plants, the trees are dependent on the soil to have life, and how man is meant to be dependent on God to have life, and how if you take these things, man, the plants, and the fishes out of that source that should give them life, how they wither and die. That is how we as men are, because what he has established is that for us as men to have life, we need to have God.
Yeah. And depend on him.
Yes, as a
But we
practice.
have also said, and it's evident that God has not existed with men
Before now.
So we are yet to have God in our life. Let me use that word because I don't really know which other word to use that would describe it perfectly enough for us to understand. We have not had God in our lives to totally depend on, and now get that life that is of God to be with us. That's why we experience sleep, death as we know it. So we have established now that for us to be safe as we wait on God is to stop funding the system. And the funding of the system is just simply saying that we shouldn't be involved in the things of the system. And I remember having that discussion with somebody, and he said, how do you, just as she said earlier, say how do you survive in a system that has been rigged for you to do all these things? I said, first, what you need to understand is that those things are a problem. That is the biggest issue we have as men. Our refusal to accept that the things we are involved with are the problem. So I feel like that is the first thing we need to. Sure, that is
Somebody need to understand.
that is the first step in being safe. Understanding that everything you get yourself involved with as man is the problem.
It's wrong.
It's wrong and is the problem. That is the first step. And I told him in response that true, what you have said is the way it is. That the system is rigged in a way that you need certain, if not all of these activities to survive in it. So how do you survive in it? Without doing those things. I said you need to understand first that those things are the problem. And when you understand that those things are the problem, there are ways you go about them, and there are things you totally stop because you understand that they're a problem. That's why you could see the little pointers he gave about the wedding, about the school, about the votings.
Yes.
You could see that these are things you can get to stop based on the understanding you have gotten about how problematic they are.
Yes.
Just as you said, how do you stop buying and selling and you don't survive? Those are things that require his express touch for you to get out of.
Yes.
But you can see that there are certain things with the understanding you get in your search of that personality that you can restrict yourself from, that limits the danger that you were exposed to until you come in contact with him.
Humanly, from what you are saying now, it shows that, like if there was supposed to be a bomb explosion in a certain place where they are doing a kind of maybe market or church or whatever thing, if you stay in your house, you won't be involved in that.
Yes.
You understand? But that does not also make you safe.
Yes.
You understand? That is one side making you safe without waiting for God.
Because you can still feel the aftershock of the bomb.
Yeah.
Because of how far you stayed away.
The point I'm establishing there is that on one side, if you can be saved from that situation, remember you are not waiting upon God. You understand?
Yeah.
That is why this information says how to be saved while waiting upon God.
Yeah.
So you can be saved, but you are not waiting upon God. So it means you are still exposed to another danger.
If you escape
So
that
right
one.
now is that once you are taking this information that is just sent out, he will help you to do finding.
Yes.
From what you are saying now, these things are wrong. Yes, maybe sometime I've been doing this thing, trying to avoid this thing. But right now, I know that avoiding this thing, there's also a path that we need to go in this world. What should we do? That brings somebody that is waiting upon God.
Yes.
To find out from this source now, this information is coming out. What should we do? That's why I said before, the only way to get this thing done is wherever the part of God is put out, a mindset. It's not a question with mouth first. A mindset needs to be established from where this source of information that I've been hearing about. I need to find out what to do. There are a lot of people out there. If you see people funding what is called church today, people are there funding it, believing that that is the part of God, but not knowing that it has no bearing with God. We are now saying today, based on the light that has come, as long as the church is the house of God, and the house of God is supposed to be the body of man, not that place we build, that means every of the support that you give there has no bearing with God.
Yes.
Do you understand?
Yes.
So you see, people are funding the part that they believe that there is a part of God so that they can get a life from it. But life is not coming without knowing.
But you see, like what you are saying, if you look at if you listen to that voice note, that you talk about success, that women don't know what success is. You see, when people go to church and fund all those church programs, there's something they receive. Like those that are in business, their business will start booming. Those are in workplaces, they get promotion. But if you could listen what he says, the downfall of a man will be great, because the Spirit will take you high, so that when you're about to fall, your fall will be great. That is what people get when they do all those things.
So you see that many a time we don't do those things because we know it's wrong, or we don't do it because we know that we will receive a reward. Some people do these things sincerely without knowing that these things are wrong. Like said yourself before, a man can be sincerely wrong without knowing.
Yes.
You understand? So that is why this moment is to help somebody out there, those who have the heart that want to do things for God, to understand that that is not the part of God.
And you don't.
It's very, I don't know how to put it, it's very strange for somebody to say this, that you'll be doing this thing in the name of God, in the things of the church, funding it, but it's not in the part of God.
Let me come in briefly.
I'm coming. Okay. So it's for some, it's very, I don't know how to put it. I said, it's not good to say it, that the part you have been funding for God is not God. It's very hard for somebody to understand. But somebody need to understand that whatever thing you do for God, supposed to be for your sake, and the sake of doing that thing supposed to be for eternal life.
Yes.
So how will you achieve that? That eternal life first come from the correction you have correct your ways of living before you can even get the eternal life. So you are doing this funding, but looking at your life, you know that you are still living a life that God will not approve.
Yes.
You understand? That is why I said, for somebody out there, doesn't need to misunderstand what we are talking here, because it's a deadly thing. You can't really see into it. You understand? That's why the last time we talked about it, when we talked about who a neighbor is and the good you do that serve nobody good, that also follow it. You are doing good sincerely, but you don't know that before God, who should reward you, those things are wrong. So that is why it is necessary right now to make a finding, a proper finding, from where this voice is coming from, to know what should we do and how should we do it. Because it's not just what to do, but how to do it. That is where God comes in, so that whatever thing you do will end you well. Because he has said that it takes the blindness for a man to go out for survival, just to go and involve in a casualty.
Yes.
It takes the blindness even for you to even be in the house and involve in a casualty.
Yes.
And it takes the power of God to be able to escape those things. It's possible with God. Everything is possible with God. And from what we are saying today, anybody that is out there should try it and see whether this voice that we keep talking about has that capacity to change things for us. Because you cannot sit down there and assume that what we are saying is wrong. Like we keep saying, ask yourself, what if this information is also true? For the sake of time, I don't know what you have to say, but you need to make it brief.
I want to make it brief because we are talking about what, because when you're, I'm feeling the heart cry. That's why I say I would have kept quiet, but the heart cry of doing what we call worship, people sponsoring the things of God in the name of God, believing that it is God, and hearing now that those things are in vain. It is shocking. A lot of people won't want to get it. Yeah. But the truth has to be said for our own good. Yeah. What we have been doing in the name of God, we have been doing it because we expect something in return. If you get up to marry, it's because you want to be a father. And the foundation says God is supposed to be our father. No man is qualified to be a father. That is a wrong foundation you are getting into. Yeah. When you also get married, you are also becoming a husband. The foundation says God is the only husbandman. No man is qualified to be a husband. And all what you have been getting, the material possession, you find out that these are the things we go to where we call church to worship for money and material possession. Now, when we get them, I ask, what other reward are you expecting from God? You have been worshiping God. You want to get married. You get married. You have your husband. You have your wife.
That means you have gained the
You
word.
have your children. You want God to give you. You have gotten your children. You want him to give you material possession. He has given you material possession. What other reward are you waiting for at the last day? This is the reason why you go out to worship. And you are getting these things here. This is the reason why we don't have life.
So it means,
and God, the personality of God in our midst, is not to give us the things we lost after. Is to keep us, because God has that ability to keep us.
So it means the reward that we all desire from God is not those material things.
Yes.
You understand?
Is
in the life that He wants us to have to stay alive.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
So because you may acquire all these things, and at the end of the day, you see die.
Yes, and leave them.
The eternal life you labor for, you don't get it. You understand? So that is why it's very important for somebody to just make a finding, to find out what to do, as we keep saying here, because there is something to do. Right now, he said, if you care for your dying world, wake up and seek for where this voice is coming out, because this is a movement.
Like he says, what shall a man give in exchange
For his life.
for his life?
So those are the things. Like I've said before, because of the sake of time, because we have a lot to say, but we can't finish everything on this, because this movement was for the voice note. So let us not take away that. For somebody to understand what we are saying is that the voice note has put it clear for all of us to let us know that the only way to stay safe while you wait on God, remember that word, while you wait on God. It means if you are waiting for God, you must see God.
Yes.
You can't wait for what you cannot see.
Yes.
You can't wait for what you cannot have.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
So that is what we need to understand. So if you are waiting for God, it means there is God that you need to see at the end of your waiting.
Yes.
So right now, like you have heard, there's nothing much we can say. I believe that all the time that we have, you should be able to explain to you what this movement is all about. So that's why we keep saying that we are not here for Christians. We are not here for Muslims. We are not here for pagans. We are not here for Hindu. We are here for man, both the male and the female. As long as you are a man that was privileged to be bettered into this world, you need to understand that the path of God is for you. And this is the path of God. So embrace it, be a part of it, so that the world that we keep desiring the solution for can come to us. That solution can come to us for all of us, for our dying people, for our sick people to get healed, because the part of God, the power of God is to bring healing and bring life that stays for life. So from everything we have been discussing here in this program, if you have any inquiry that you want to make, we have our email addresses on the screen there. So send us a mail and we'll get back to you. Bye for now.